Today we'll be talking in terms of the bank PO interviews and the certain misconceptions that we all carry. I'll basically be covering about 10 misconceptions today and try to give you a very different perspective of what perhaps you would have thought out this whole concept to be. We'll make it very short and crisp as to what these misconceptions are. There are 10 of them really which I'm going to cover. Prior to that, I'm going to tell you that the process, as you all know, you've been all been preparing for bank PO, perhaps the SBI PO exam, especially. So you all know that it's a three-pronged process comprising of the prelims, then the mains, and followed by the group exercises and the PI process. I'll be covering the basically the last process and that too an overview today. On some other day, we shall try to cover the process of group exercises and the PI in details. But today, my endeavor is to cover the macro level misconceptions that we all have pertaining to the interviews or the group exercise process. Friends, let me first introduce myself. I'm Colonel Gurmeet Sethi. I'm an ex-NDA officer from the Indian Army. I'm from the Corps of Engineers. 23 years into the army, and then I had to take premature retirement on health grounds and started training of competitive exams, especially CAT, Bank PO, etc. And have been a trainer now for the past 28 years. I specialize in GDs and interviews and strategy. So this is what I do, and also language. Today, I'll be covering this soft skill part of it and take you to a very different aspect, which perhaps you may not have thought of as of now. Friends, when it comes to these sessions, the group exercise and the PI part of it, you all know it has merely 30 marks and 20 marks for the group exercise and 30 marks for the PI, and that too once you qualify on the mains. So after a grueling mains, preparation, you come into this session, and this session does not last more than just half an hour to 40 minutes, and your fate is sealed or your fate is made. So it is becomes a very important part of the entire process. Friends, you really have to be a brave heart to go through it because it's one way or the other, the fate gets sealed. Right. Very interesting process though, but one needs to understand. I normally come across people, you see. Uh, again, before I tell you that, I've trained about 17,000 students so far, 500 and more to the IMs alone, and several to bank POs and SBIs, etc., with very top scoring positions. So, this is what it is. I'll try to give the best, whatever I can, in today's session. So let's start, friends, and the bank PO interview process, the 10 misconceptions that I'm going to cover today. And the first misconception, in fact, which comes to most of the minds is that after the written test, it's merely going to be a simple talk now, right, which is going to get me through. And so most of the people, you see, take it very lightly, and they think that it's going to be a simple conversation and a talk which is going to happen. And I don't have to prepare as such. Whatever I am, I am. Okay. And I've also come across people, you see, who use such phrases like "I shoot from the hip," "I'll answer questions as they come," etc., and they mess up the entire thing. Friends, please understand, it is a process of selling. You need to sell your candidature, and selling is an art. You need to master this art in order to, you see, make the best out of yourself in those 90 seconds, perhaps, when they tell you, please introduce yourself. So, the moment you are told, tell me something about yourself or introduce yourself, I think your 90 seconds selling pitch starts. If you do a good job, you're going to be there. And if you don't do one, well, friends, you're going to be out. Many of us, you see, the second myth or the second misconception, as it is that no preparation is required for it, and that, you see, I merely need to go, you see, as it is, because there is hardly anything that I can prepare at the last moment. Friends, let me tell you, this process requires a thorough introspection. It requires knowing yourself. I would rather put it, you see, that it is a three-pronged process. I'll be covering this in details perhaps the day I cover your interviews. The first process is know yourself. And knowing yourself is not an easy process. It requires a deep introspection. It requires you to understand your background, your strengths, your interests, your hobbies, your career aspirations and aspirations that you have, etc. And all these have to be worked out. This is an individual process which has to be worked out with every individual separately. This is exactly what I do, right? We sit with every person in order to make it work. That's called a personal interview. So the answers are not some stereotyped answers as you normally find on various websites or on various columns and forums where people tell you that if this be the question, give out this as the answer. If somebody asks you what's your career objective, so simply rattle out some career objective. No, friends, it's not as simple as that. The other aspects that you need to understand about is that the preparation is requires confidence building, and the confidence comes when you start believing in yourself. So you may be saying something in an interview, but we can make out from your eyes and body language that you don't really believe in yourself. So it's not merely words. You see, it's much more than words. And this is when, we actually try to see the person sitting in front of us from all possible angles, right? There is a panel of very wise people who are looking at every move of yours, who are trying to judge you from every aspect, and they are not going to make a mistake, I can assure you. The third thing is, why is GE and PI process referred to as a personality assessment stage? You would have normally come across people saying that it's all about your personality. Well, yes, definitely it is. But what about your personality? And there's much more to it than merely saying that I'll work on my group discussions or I'll work on my PI, right, etc. I think it requires your persona to be built up. And to build up your persona, right, there are two aspects to your persona, the outer and the inner. The outer persona is very easy to build up. What clothes to wear, what shoes to put on, right, etc. What color tie must I wear, etc. What dress should I wear? Very, very simple. But your inner persona is what we are trying to judge. Because after all, we are going to decide on the next 40 years of your career. We are not going to make a mistake by taking on people who are very shallow. So please understand, it's an entire process of understanding your inner and outer persona. Friends, it makes it very interesting that when you go through this process, in fact, it tells you so much more about you. You try to learn things which perhaps you would have never learned even during the course of the rest of your preparation of your tests, right? And I am coming to the fourth misconception, right? And that is, many people come and they tell us, sir, I'm good with my PIs, but I may not be good with my group exercises, or vice versa. Some people say, sir, GE में अच्छा हूँ, लेकिन PI, sir, I need practice. Okay, right? I can assure you of one thing, friends. If you're not good at one, you're not good at the other either, right? Because more or less the same aspects are going to be checked, right? And what are they being checked? Your attitudes are checked, your energy levels are checked, your communication is checked, your leadership qualities are checked, your analytical skills are being checked, your people handling skills are checked. And so if one is not good, I'm sure the other is not good either. So you cannot say that, sir, one aspect is good and the other is not good. I can assure you, if there's one in which you don't get caught, I'm sure they're going to catch you in the other. However, there's another very interesting aspect to the GE and PI process. You would see that in IBPS, they don't have a group exercise, and in an SBIPO, they have a group exercise. So how come? Do you mean to say that IBPS does not require the same qualities? No. It's not like that. So that means there is something which is missing in our understanding, right? Which we need to understand as to why do they put us through a GE and in SBIPO, right? Whereas they've not done so in the IBPS. Well, I think we need to think on it, and I would like answers coming from you guys. You can always get in touch with me, right, on my website or through my email IDs, which are given on my websites, etc., and my phone numbers also. So do get in touch with all your answers and queries, and I'll only help you out only then. So it's not going to come easy. It's not going to come on the platter either, right? I would like you to introspect on these questions, because if you're going through the process, I'm sure you would have been giving it a thought. The next aspect which I wanted to share with you is the misconception number 5. And what is that? People say, sir, I've been good at my written, so I'll score very well in my writtens, right? And 80% marks contribute from my writtens. So how do GE and PI really matter? Right, 20%? I think I'll get the bare minimum and sail through. Friends, it's not going to be as simple as that. I can tell you these 20% marks can either make all the difference for you. They can either take you up, and I've also seen people who scored very well in this process suddenly shooting up and getting this circle of their choice, right? Which is again a very important aspect. So, in order to get your circle, you must score well on the overall merit, and I can assure you, your GE and PI process will certainly help you out in that. How does it do that? It's because the first process wasn't totally an objective process, and the second process is entirely a subjective process. In fact, nobody is even going to tell you as to what went wrong. Even if you ask the panel, sir, how did I perform? I'm sure there's a question not to be asked, but even if you happen to ask, they'll not give you the right answer. So everybody will tell you, very good, you've done very well. Let's look forward to meeting you again, etc. And you find yourself not there. So what went wrong, my dear friend? And you would have seen that this subjective process is such, it is like marking a boy's essay. So when I mark an essay, if I like the essay, I give you 2 out of, if I like the essay, I give you 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. And if I don't like the essay, I give you 2 out of 10, right? And your fate is sealed. So this is exactly what happens in a GE and PI also. If they like it, then you get very good marks. And if you don't get good marks. So there are some of the best marks which people have got through my, under my training have been to the aspect that in group exercise people have got 19 out of 20, and interviews people have got 29 out of 30, etc. So these are the type of scores which are possible in case you're good. And if you're not good, well, perhaps out of 50, he can just give you 7, 8, 9, whatever, and you'll find, oh my God, I didn't make it. And normally people come and tell us, sir, 2 numbers se reh gaya tha. It's not the question of 2 numbers. It's simply, we didn't want you there, right? So this is exactly what this process can do to you. Another myth, let's take on another misconception. And my 6th misconception is, why do they not have the PIs first, Gs? Very so wherever in SBI PO there is a GE and a PI, why is it that we cannot have a PI first and a GE later? Well. You will find that in a group exercise we call a large number of people. Let's take there are 10 to 12 people in the group, right? And so it's a more or less an elimination round, although we may call you for the PI again, but that means we've half made our mind already whether we want you there or not. And if I made up my mind, the PI is just a short shrift, in the sense we just spend a couple of minutes on you and you come out saying, sir, मेरी interview 5 मिनट में खत्म हो गई, right? ये 5 मिनट का सवाल नहीं था, ये सवाल है कि we have already perhaps seen you, right, and decided it already that we do not want this person. So things like that. I'm not saying that the time spent is the only criteria. No, it's not the only criteria. But then the GE makes a lot of difference because the impact is set. And once set, it's very difficult for you to wash it out. Right? I come on to the misconception number 7. And the misconception number 7 is, I do not have a banking background. So how would I justify my candidature for the bank PO? Very interesting, friends. How many of us actually would have a banking background? Until and unless I've been working let's take earlier with a private bank, or earlier as a clerical in the clerical cadre, or perhaps I've been working with some other like regional rural bank or something, and now want to upgrade myself. So there'll be very few such people. All others would be from a very, very different background. People would have come from pharmaceutical backgrounds. People I've seen coming as BDS. I remember a girl, because I take on a lot of distance learning classes through online mode. So I had a girl at Coimbatore, and she was a BDS girl, and she would always, have this lingering doubt. Sir, as a dentist, how would I justify myself applying to a bank as a peer? I asked her a counter question. I said, so what do you think? What would you be doing in a bank? This is sir, people tell me, they make fun out of me. They say, अच्छा किसी customer के दांत में दर्द होगी तो वो देख ले रहा करना. So you can always reply like that. My dear friends, please understand one thing. Had you not been eligible with these disciplines, I'm sure the bank PO would not have allowed you to apply. So the first thing is be confident that whatever background you may have come from, right? As long as you are a graduate, they want minimum graduation as a qualification. And as long as you are there, you may be from any background, right? You are eligible. And as long as you are eligible, be confident and rest. Well, it's a matter of detail as to how do we go about justifying, and very strong justification can be given with whatever background you may carry, right, in terms of a very, very commonsensical career like a bank POs. So think about it and don't feel intimidated, or don't feel yourself as any lesser candidate in case you feel that your background. Most of the people come from backgrounds like engineers, engineers that too varied engineering fields, mechanical engineers, electronics and communication, computer science, telecom, mechatronics, etc., biotechnology, all possible branches people come from, and they make it. I can tell you, they make it with flying colors. So don't ever think that just because I don't have this as a background, nobody has this as a background. So be very clear. Okay. We come on to the eighth misconception as of now. And my eighth misconception is I must know banking thoroughly, as I shall be asked questions on banking. Yeah, wow. That's very interesting. And most of the people come to me with this worry. They say, sir, banking karao. Sir, banking terms and banking concepts sir karaiye. Right? And I try to underplay this. Not that I underplay, but because I'm aware that no, my dear friend, you already had a written banking paper, did you not? Right? So in your mains, you had bank awareness paper, right? So आपने इतने banking terms, इतना सब कुछ किया that you become obsessed कि अब तो banking ही पूछेगा. Similarly, people come with a lot of misconceptions regarding the technical background also. Sir, I am an electronics and communication engineer, so I'm sure they're going to be asking me lots and lots of questions on electronics and communication, right? As if you are going to do a master's course in technology, electronics and communication. You aren't. Please be very clear about it, right? And if I tell you to prepare your 5 years complete syllabus, right, on electronics and communication, and do up everything related to banking, right, as if you have been a seasoned banker, right, I'm sure you lose your confidence rather than gain your confidence. So these are some of the reasons why people go with shallow confidence for the interviews. Friends, please understand, you've not worked in a bank. Please understand, banking awareness was the term which was used even in your written paper. And when you say awareness, I can assure you that awareness is a very, very commonsensical general awareness which any layman in the country should have, right? So if they ask you some terms as to what is Jan Dhan Yojana, I'm sure every Tom, Dick, and Harry knows it, right? So you better know it. Similarly, if they ask you about what is CRR and SLR, I'm sure normal people also today know about it, right? We all read newspapers, and a common graduate is also aware of it. So nothing very special that you know about it, right? So what else would you like to know about banking? I'm sure there's nothing extra that you need to know about banking. A very seasoned. In fact, many a candidate of mine who comes out of the interview hall, my first dig at him is, so beta, kya banking पूछा गया आपसे? And he smiles. Sir, पूछा ही नहीं उसने banking के बारे में. समझ गए? तो तुमने पूछा ही बैंकिंग के बारे में, तो तुम डरते डरते बैंकिंग के बारे में सोचो. And I also know most of the banking institutes who train people for bank PO, because in the returns they give so much of dose, and because they have so much of masala and gyan on it, they continue to shell out the same gyan and dose even for the interview preparations. My dear friend, this is a total different ball game. The first test of yours was an aptitudinal test, and the second test, which is this one, is an attitudinal one. That's why they say companies and organizations recruit for attitude and train for aptitude. Please understand, this is a completely an attitudinal process. Your aptitude part was over when you appeared for your written prelims and the mains. So after having cracked your mains, why are you still so obsessed with your written subject areas? This is the question which perhaps you need to answer for yourself, right? More of it. You want some more tips on it, right? Please write back to me. This is my website address, meetsethi.com, right? You can you're most welcome to correspond with me on these issues. My Gmail address will be given there, right? thinkcsd@gmail.com. And my phone number is 9417 9417005570. Right. So you're free to interact as part of this forum. I'll try to honor my word and answer as many questions as possible. Friends, that be so, let me move on to yet something different. Right. So you would have understood the difference between an aptitudinal test and an attitudinal process. This is entirely an attitudinal process, and that's why we say IQ is different from EQ, right? So ये EQ process है, emotional quotient process है. It has got nothing to do with your rattabaji or the things and the gyan which you would have learned during your written papers. I did not say they will not ask you banking terms. I did not say they will not ask you anything else about your academics. No, I didn't mean that, right? But the significance of that, you must try to understand, and you must understand as to what is the purpose of doing that. I think that's more important, right? Because like what I said, many a candidate was never asked even one question on banking, right? If at all they were asked, it was a very simple term which people felt, oh my God, it was so simple. Yeah, I remember people have been asked a combination of the two, right? For example, electronics and communication engineer being asked, how do you think you can use your technology or the knowledge of technology in order to improve the banking operations? Very relevant question, I would say, right? Why not? Another candidate was asked, जब तुम पहली बार स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया के अंदर गए तो तुमने क्या ऑब्जर्व किया? So the candidate says there was a lot of rush. There were a lot of people, you see, who were there all over, and the counters were all full, right? In fact, people were waiting with tokens in their hands, etc. So he says, yeah, okay. So how do you think we can solve this problem? You being an electronics and communication engineer, do you think that there can be something that can be done about it? Look at the question, right? It is not banking. Another thing which I would like to add over here, friends, is I've asked this question to many a student, and I always ask them, I said, have you ever been to a bank? Have you? They say, yes, sir. I said, okay. So you applied to SBI PO. Have you ever been to an SBI branch? And many a times the answer is no. My next question is, have you ever got in touch with a probationary officer or a bank manager and asked him, sir, would you please tell me and enumerate as to what the duties are? नहीं सर, हम तो कभी नहीं गए, सर वहां जाएंगे तो वो एंटरटेन नहीं करेगा, etc. So all those lame excuses come in. Friends, I can tell you, there have been people who actually gone, because it's like saying that if you want to join Coke, eat Coke, drink Coke, sleep Coke. So if you want to join SBI PO, eat SBI, drink SBI, sleep SBI, right? And I can assure you, you're going to be there. The very fact that you yourself don't believe that you are part of the banking system, right, is the first very clue that you're passing on to the forum that you don't belong to us. Think about it. You have second doubts about yourself. I have too many doubts about you as a candidate, right? I'll go to a bit further, and this will be real shocking and alarming to many of you. Every bank PO candidate who comes to me, I ask him a question. I ask him, तो बेटा तुमने फिर क्लेरिकल के लिए भी अप्लाई किया होगा? He said, हाँ सर, सर क्लेरिकल का सर 2 एग्जाम आ रहे हैं, एक IBPS का आ रहा है और एक RRB का आ रहा है, सर वो भी मैंने किए. So I asked them generally, I said, oh, so you want to be a clerk also? हाँ sir, I want to keep my chances open because sir, there's a lot of competition. I tell him, बेटा एक चीज तू गांठ बांध ले, तेरा पीओ में नहीं होगा क्योंकि you yourself believe that you are not worthy of becoming an officer. I've been an Indian Army officer for 23 years. I can tell you, friends, if you think you are Jawan material, I'll never take you as an officer. Rest be assured, right? So if you think you are a clerical material, don't ever come to me to become a probationary officer. The very first thing I look at a candidate sitting before me is that, is he a clerk or is he a PO? And if I find a clerk in you, I'm not going to take you. Be very, very clear on this. And this is a doubt which you carry with you. You carry that big question mark on your face. You carry that uncertainty. You carry that lack of confidence. And it's by virtue of this that I decide not to take you, not because you could not answer my questions, but because you did not exhibit that confidence. There's a big difference between a worker and a leader. Why do you think a bank clerical post does not carry a group exercise and a PI process? Can you tell me? Even a bank clerical paper is more or less akin to this paper. So, 19 level में, I think that it's the same thing sitting for that also. तो कर ही रहे हैं, चलो क्लर्क के एग्जाम के लिए भी बैठ जाएंगे. So this is when you sit for a clerical paper, right? But in the heart of hearts, deep down there is a lurking fear that I do not have the mettle to be a responsible bank officer. And by virtue of that, you see, you've already actually lost it out. You are a clerk by heart. You would have understood what I want to say. In this world, there are 2 types of people: a worker and a leader. A worker cannot work like a leader, and a leader will never do things like a worker. They think differently, they do things differently. So, this is exactly what we are checking in the entire process, right? आप क्लर्क मटेरियल हैं और पीओ बनने आए हैं, just because आपने रिटन टेस्ट पास कर लिया, तो sorry buddy, I'm not going to take you because I don't want a clerk tomorrow to be sitting and heading my branch. Because if he starts doing it, he'll ruin the entire system and the economy of this country. सोचिएगा इसके बारे. I think I've said more than what was required on this particular area. And this will trouble many of you because in the heart of hearts you all know, दे तो रहा हूँ SBI PO का एग्जाम, लेकिन दिल तो मेरा एक क्लर्क का है, राइट? सो सोचिएगा कि आपका क्यों नहीं होता और जिनका होता है उनका क्यों होता है, right? So I'm sure this misunderstanding would be clear by the virtue of this one myth which I thought I must stress upon. So I have now perhaps come to My last myth or the misconception, and that is my interview would depend upon. And what would it depend upon? People normally come and tell me, sir, it would depend upon the time the panel spends on me, and number two, the total number of questions I was able to answer correctly. Look at the two things, the misconceptions that a candidate carries. So once they all come out, this is what they say. They come and tell me, they say, sir, मेरी इंटरव्यू 15 मिनट चली, तो इसका मतलब है मेरा सर बात बन जानी चाहिए, या सर बाकी कैंडिडेट्स 5 5 मिनट 7 7 मिनट में बाहर आ रहे थे और सर मेरा तो लंबा चला, तो इसलिए आई एम लाइकली टू मेक इट. Not really. Not really. If you really ask me, not really. You see, friends, if I am to conduct 40 interviews in a day, right, you can rest be assured, one way or the other, if the panel has made up its mind, it will not like to spend even a 1 minute longer on the candidate. And when I say either way, right, both ways, if I've decided, wow, what a candidate, we must take it. So I'm sure I'm going to take him. So I'm not going to linger on and unnecessarily spend time on him. Okay. And similarly, if I decided that I don't think this candidate deserves any further attention, I'm sure I'm not going to spend more time. I have 40 more candidates to be interviewed outside. Please understand. Right. So I mean business. And at the moment I'm able to understand this, what do we check? We'll cover it in subsequent sessions when I cover interviews and group exercises in detail. So today is not the day for me to touch upon those areas. I'll certainly go very deep down into those areas. In case you are interested, please again join us, right, on this very forum when I'll be covering all this. If you like this YouTube, today's talk, please make sure that I get I would say your good wishes and backup support so that we are encouraged to bring out more and more of such sessions to you, right? So this is very important to have a very positive state of mind while preparing for these exams, and positivity has to reflect all around. The second point which we talked about was the total number of questions that I've been able to answer or not able to answer. I've had candidates who come and told me, sir, 9 out of 10 questions I was able to answer. I say, oh, damn good. Right. And then when the results come, he's not made it. Look at this. So he asked me, sir, what happened? Sir, no question answer कर रहा था मैंने, लेकिन आपने क्या आंसर किया, क्या नहीं किया, कैसे आंसर किया? Because they are not checking. It's not like what I said, a test of your, you see, कि आपने कितने क्वेश्चन आंसर किए, ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चन नहीं थे, ये आपका स्कोर 9 out of 10 नहीं है. Similarly, there have been candidates who come and they've told me, sir, I was able to answer only 3 to 4 questions, right? So I don't know really, but then finally they find, oh wow, I've been able to make it. So what is the misconception regarding this? So you would have seen it's not a question answer session, it's much more to it. We check on your attitudes. मैंने अभी पॉजिटिविटी की बात करी. जो लोग पॉजिटिव होते हैं, they openly acknowledge a good gesture. They openly give compliments, right? They are people, you see, who are absolutely, so positive that they spread positivity wherever they go. These people are energetic. They reflect energy in whichever forum they are, etc. So question answer has got nothing to do with your energy. Energy reflects by the way you put across your thoughts. Your communication skills, right, are extremely important. I may disagree with the panel, but the manner in which I put it across, my communication skills would prove that yes, I can logically argue my point. So these are the things which are more important. Your people handling skills. After all, in the bank, you're getting into a people industry. You're getting into industry where you will be dealing with people both inside and outside, right? It is a service industry. And do you understand as to what is the requirement of the service industry? Service industry requires people who are polite, people who have good etiquettes, people who have good manners, people who can reach out to people. So look at the qualities that I'm looking forward to. So your crew, your person who doesn't know how to come across your thoughts, your person who when talking, right, your body language conveys something different from what your words do. I would not take you. You are a worker and not a leader. I can make out from your thoughts कि तुम जो बातें करते हो, you are more like a worker. You think like a worker. You shirk responsibility. And when you do all that, we are able to make out, my God, a wrong candidate has come. Right? Here comes a square peg in a round hole and a vice versa. We do not want such people, friends. Right? It's a process which is a foolproof process. It's not based on luck. It's not simply based on ki ho gaya to ho gaya, nahi hua to kya karu, etc. So that's why it requires perhaps a very thorough and a serious preparation, right? And it does not only require mugging answers and going over there and rattling out the answers and saying कि मेरे 9 में 10 number आएंगे क्योंकि मैं 9 questions answer कर पाया. Similar things is regarding GK and current affairs. They definitely ask you a lot of current affairs, but then may I ask you this question as to how much of current affairs can you really possibly know? Who's the vice president of Brazil? Anybody in the forum who can tell me? And you will find the answer is not known. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Because it doesn't really matter. But then such questions will be asked. Don't worry. They do not really matter because we are checking out on something very different. Right? So a lot of questions will be asked. I'm not saying they'll not be asked. So I did not mention that academics will not be asked, banking will not be asked, or current affairs will not be asked. They will be asked, but then they are not going to determine whether you're going to be there or not. Friends, with this, I think I'll cut short my talk, right? Because we promised about 45 minutes to an hour talk today, right? I'm already on my 48th minute, right? So I think I'll call it off. Thank you very much for a very patient hearing. And if you really like my talks, right, and you really encourage me, this is the first time I've come onto this forum in order to talk to this August gathering of such bright, youthful people who are preparing seriously for the bank PO, especially the SBI one, right? I really look forward to further interaction with each one of you. Thank you so much. God bless. Stay home, stay safe, right, and prepare hard. It's really worth the effort, I can assure you. And God bless, I'm sure you're going to make it. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, guys.